Hello and welcome back to the Sunday special episode of the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. We love a Sunday special, but we love a Sunday special with a very special guest. And this week we have three special guests, the co-host of the LadyGang podcast, Keltie Knight, Becca Tobin, and Jac Vanek. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We're so happy to have you here with us.
We love you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. We just did your show, which was amazing. So if you guys, I don't know if it's out yet, but you guys should definitely listen if you haven't yet. You guys are like I think of us as like OG podcasters, but you guys make us look young. You guys have been around since 2015, right?
Yeah.
So been podcasting since before podcasting was even cool. Like how did you even get into like making this show together?
Keltie, take it away.
Well, basically, I was working as a correspondent on an entertainment news show, and Becca and I knew each other because we were both in former lives. We were dancers in New York City, and Becca would always beat me out for jobs because she's more talented and prettier. Obviously, you can see that. And she was on Broadway, and I was trying to be on Broadway, and I would go in the room and be like, wah! And then they'd be like, cut, and then Becca would go in and she would, whoa, and then she would get the job. Anyway, she had moved out because she booked Glee to star on Glee, and I was doing entertainment news, and so I'd see her at red carpets all the time, and we were both looking at each other like, we're not in New York anymore. This is so weird. And so then when Serial came out, I was like, well, there's got to be a podcast about something other than murder. There really weren't any female podcasts. I really wanted my own TV show. I said to Becca, I want a TV show. She's like, you're an idiot. No one's going to give us a TV show. I was like, but what about a podcast? And she goes, what's a podcast? So I taught her, and I was like, we need a third girl. And I was like, you know who'd be perfect? The girl that was my nemesis on the internet. We dated the same guy, mutual ex-boyfriend, little bit of like internet lore. Yeah. I've only hung out with her twice. I think I have her phone number. Text Jac Vanek. It's like, hey, it's Keltie. Remember we shared that ex-boyfriend? Do you want to do a podcast? And she's like, sounds fun. See you Tuesday. That's how LadyGang started.
Is that something that's something that is like I think a guy's greatest fear is like
two women who used to date him.
He is not on the internet anymore.
You forced him off the internet. He's in Siberia.
He's off the internet for other reasons, but we both have definitely talked about him a little bit too much for somebody that we both dated like 20 years ago. So
yeah, he's like lore. He's like, he's a magic lore in our lives.
He's your Justin Bieber.
He is our Justin Bieber.
Is there ever a moment where you both thank him a little bit, or no? Is there like for your friendship? Because this happens more, more than people would assume. Like the exes going, "What? Wait a minute, are we best friends now?" Kind of in that stepbrothers way. Do you know?
Yeah,
I think that's so interesting.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have never started the podcast if it wasn't for him. Like that's the only reason that Keltie and I know each other. But it's I don't know. What do you think, Keltie?
I mean, I'm very thankful for our friendship. I love Jac and Becca. We weren't, the three of us were not best friends. We're not like three best friends that started a podcast. Like we were acquaintances in a weird world that have become very close over 10 years of podcasting. But I think that's what makes the LadyGang podcast really special is that we don't necessarily hang out with each other like outside of the podcast. So we each go, we have our own experience in life, and then we bring it all. So when I'm hearing about, Jac's news or Beck having a baby or moving or jobs or whatever, like we're hearing about it for the first time on the podcast, and that's our real reaction to each other's lives. So that's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just like a more honest relationship too. Friends have all this like backlog. Old friends have a backlog of I know the mom, I know what street they grew up on. You don't trust old friends sometimes because you're like, well, you used to do that back then, and you're not a trustworthy sounding board for this. It's almost a better, like
clean
person
slate
to kind of talk with. Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Jared, because there was that time, like about 3 years into the LadyGang, that Jac admitted that she went back to the ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
So she dated
Wow.
him. She dated him.
While you're doing the show.
And then no.
No,
Then
no.
I dated him, and then she told me after we broke up, and she thought we might still be together. She went back with him. This is way before the podcast, but I found that out on the podcast live on air, and I was like, I quit.
So do you still resent her a little bit for that?
She always does. Keltie was very jealous. So this is what happened with the relationship. Keltie was very jealous of me because she came after me. So she always like was comparing herself to my online persona or whatever. But it was very one-sided. Like I didn't really know what was going on. And so I learned about that later.
Well,
Keltie who?
Well, here's a question for all three of you, maybe four of you, including you, Jared, because I think your answer will also be telling. If you break up with someone, do you want the next person they date to be like less attractive, less successful, or do you want that, or do you find that almost insulting? Do you want them to be more attractive, more successful? Like, what is the ideal trajectory of someone post and pre dating you? What about the people they dated before you also?
I want to be the one that got away.
Ooh.
The best catch.
I want to be the one that they think about. I want to be the one that their wives still check my Instagram. You know, I'm shallow as fuck and I'm petty as fuck. So if I see that a guy that I'm no longer with, even if I broke and shattered his heart into a million pieces, if I see that he's gone on to date a 10, that's a life ruiner for me.
That's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bad.
Becca, I have a feeling you're not alone here in this Riverside chat.
I agree. I
with
think,
that
but
feeling.
I kind of prefer the person that came before me hotter and more successful, and then they're like on a downward trajectory. You know.
Well, I do get
They
attracted.
settled.
I will say you're onto something because I have had relationships and slept with men simply because they had been with really hot women before me.
Yes.
That
This
was
is
it.
a real
That
thing.
makes them more
This is
attractive.
a real
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
A lot of this, men kind of are aware or have become hip to this.
Mhm.
The idea that like if you're with aspirational, then you will be with aspirational in the future. This is kind of like your resume,
Mhm.
you know.
Ooh, yeah.
But I also have the exact opposite feeling. If someone dates me, I want them to move on to the greatest life ever so that I can literally disappear into the fog.
Oh.
I am forgotten.
Oh.
I am not the person they
Really?
blame
Wow.
for what's gone on. This is
How big
I
of
think
you.
a lot of listen, I want to be like a hologram at their $100 million wedding, clapping for them like I'm the janitor.
That's so
from,
annoying. That's
Rudy
my worst nightmare.
going, you go.
Why?
Good for you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the one that ruined. You know, when in a breakup, a lot of times guys get the feedback. Why would you do this to me? Why would you lead me down this road? Why would you waste my time? How could you do this to me? I thought we were gonna be together forever. And then you go, it's not me. And then you're like, I don't want to take away those things that you've dreamt about, you know? And sometimes that's the position of when you end things as a guy that you.
So you think you're amazing, is what you're.
I think I'm a good cuddler, and I think that helps things. And you know, after that, they're like, okay, I can do cuddling without the sheets being smelly and haven't been washed for a month. So they can go up from.
What if she became like? What if she herself became a? What if she dated a more famous comedian?
Ouch.
Ooh, that'd be tough. That.
Well, where would they?
I don't know.
Where would they
Would you
find
still be
that?
clapping?
Right. I don't know. Keltie and Jac. How do you feel? Do you want them to be with better or worse?
I go back and forth. I don't know which one is better. Because then if they date worse, you're like, wow, is it my personality? Like, is that what did it? And like, now you're going for somebody that's actually like a good person. So I don't know. I can't decide.
I up until very recently, when my 20 years of therapy has recently kicked in, but prior to that, everything I did in my life, from Instagram stories about my dog to
Self-published memoir.
self-published memoirs to our billboard in Times Square for LadyGang, like everything I did, the real basic through line of it was fuck you, guy who dumped me. I hope you see
Yeah.
this. So, you know, I mean, like all of this success, people are like, LadyGang is so successful. You have that TV show, some books, that clothing line. Look at this. This is so exciting. When we're on the Today Show with Hoda, I was just like, I hope Jeff is watching me, right? I hope Jeff's mom is watching me from 1997, and she texts Jeff, I saw that girl you dated in high school on the Today Show with Jenna. Looks like she did really good for herself. That better have happened.
Let me just tell the people listening,
That's not
1997 is over 20 years ago.
Oh,
Just
I
to
feel
let
the
the
same
men,
way.
a shiver just went down my
I think that's
spine. There's like a middle school girlfriend being like, I hope Jared sees how happy I
There's
am.
someone
And I'm
out
like,
there feeling that way about you.
100%,
Yeah,
Jared.
well,
Absolutely.
that is really the horrific part about doing a dating podcast as a guy. Like, I am now inside the brains of 4 women here telling me
More
that someone out there,
vindictive, crazy,
right, is just ripping apart a voodoo
Average
doll that's
women.
chubby and Jewish and has dark eyebrows. You know, like that's,
The only reason for that high school reunions exist is because the 5 really good at organizing but kind of loser girls that never got it in high school know this is their chance to organize and show off.
right.
She's speaking
Yeah,
of herself, so I hope that all the organized women out there know that she's not talking badly about you. She's identifying with you.
yes,
No,
yes.
I identify.
Now, relationship statuses, you 3, where do we all stand, and how does that work? How do
You're
how
all
do these other
married,
people
right?
kind of
We're
we're all married
We're all married.
We're all married, but what has been kind of fun.
happily?
This
Depends
is
on
where
the
they're going
day.
to tell us they're not.
Depends on the
We
day.
want the You Up exclusive. Are the LadyGang happy in their relationship? Well, I think this is like, we're on a dating podcast. People are aspiring to where you guys sit right now. Married, successful, in nice homes. Look at, most of you, Becca, you'll get there one
I'm
day.
in my parents. I'm in my parents' movie room. I'm in my parents.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay, your parents have a
movie
movie room. You'll be
room.
fine.
Yes.
Right, movie room. Some people call that a movie theater.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but
Cinema.
What are our relationships like now, and how do the husbands kind of interact with this show?
Well, my husband has never listened to this podcast ever. Ever.
Does that bother you?
No, it should be that way because
Okay.
we should be able to speak freely and openly and talk about how we think it's disgusting and offensive if my husband's tongue comes near my mouth. That, there's strict boundaries that we have as a married couple. There's no making out. There's only passionate lovemaking every couple months, and there's usually substances involved, some illegal, some legal. And I just prefer that he stays in the dark,
How do you know that he's not listening, like secretly?
Because I know my husband and I know that he's not even remotely interested. Half the things I say in our lives, in real life, he's not even listening to. So there's no world he's going to put on a podcast in his car, in his solidarity and the joyous silence and be like, you know whose voice I can't wait to fucking hear today is my wife's.
Now I'm the complete opposite because my husband actually edits our podcast, so he hears every single word that any of us say. But we have an understanding that he's not allowed to judge me or make any comments about anything that I say on the podcast. So
Gag order.
How did you come to this conclusion? Like, how was there a fight that got us there?
No, it's kind of always been like, because we started dating after we started the podcast. So I was like, this is what I do. I talk about my sex life. Like, no, there's no secrets going on here. So you have to either be like cool with it or, hit the curb. So when he started editing it, like now he gets like the ins and outs of literally everything. But I'm also embarrassingly like very much in love with my husband. Like we're obsessed with each other still. So I'm like the odd one out of the three
French
of us.
kissing more than once a month?
We're French kissing. We're
They
cuddling.
cuddle on the couch.
all of the time. We're cuddling.
They
We're touching.
swoon to watch TV.
But I
Yeah.
just want to say listen, Jac and Jared, I hope your love stays strong forever, but they are also, they've been together the shortest amount of time. So do the math. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we
So
have-
you're the Becca, you're the ghost of Christmas future. sister.
Yeah, she's Scrooge.
And
I have a toddler
Yeah.
and I've been married 8 years. Like, don't even,
Oh, wow.
there's literally nothing to, I mean, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole as far as passion goes.
And Keltie, are you like, is this like a three bear situation? Are you somewhere in between?
I've been married the longest. So I've been married, it'll be 11 years. And I've been with my husband 14 or 15. I don't know. You stop counting at a certain point. But for the first like 8 or 9, it was like, we don't really fight. We're fine. It's been a bit of a tough year. But I think what if I could go back and tell my dating someone something, it would be like, wow, pick that guy again, because I think all relationships are hard, and I think the longer you're with someone, the harder it is to stay like just magical. You know what I mean? Like it just becomes like it's so hard to not just be like best friends who live together and like occasionally have sex. Like that is every married person's problem, is that you adore this person. I like freaking all I want to do is watch TV with you and eat with you and hang out with you. But like, how do you keep the spark alive when it's not like dates and all these things? But like, I do think the secret sauce for my marriage is that I picked a guy who's like a really good human, and a lovely human who has a ton of flaws, but like, so do I. But like, I dated a lot of fuckboys, and I really tried to have relationships with people who did not want to be in relationships with me. Like I kind of
Same.
forced myself on people a lot. And I'm glad that the person I married ended up being like a real partner, you know?
Is there anything you three would have done differently in your dating life? now that
Yes,
you
I
bring
would have
that up?
fucked
You're like,
so many more people. I would have been such a
fuck more
hoe.
people.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Why did I not sleep with everyone?
I slept with everyone.
How was it?
And how do you feel about that? This is the ghost of Christmas reality.
Listen, I mean, I'm so glad that I did, because it's like I feel like everybody has a little bit of party in them, and like they need to get it out at some point. And I feel like I did at the right point in my life. Like I was single throughout my 20s. Like I had 1.5 year long relationships here and there. But other than that, like I was playing the field, and it really made me figure out what I wanted, because like Keltie, I dated so many fuckboys that didn't want to be with me. So when I finally found the right person, I was like, oh wait, this is completely different than like anybody else that I have dated before. But I'm glad I did it. I was never happy when I was doing it, but like I look back and I'm like, good job.
Becca, are you gonna keep the LadyGang party line of fuck more dudes?
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad I fucked a lot of dudes. To be honest, it was the
Yeah.
best. And you know what? I married someone who fucked a lot of bitches. Like his college friends came over at one point a couple years ago to hang out and reminisce. And one of them was like, oh yeah, Zach fucked like at least 300 girrs in college. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
whoa, my vagina
300.
can't believe it's still on. Can't believe she stayed on. Like, what? And
What a friend. This guy really came in to shake things
well,
up.
and listen, he's a better man for it. You know, he's
Got out of his system.
he got out of his system.
Right.
But yeah, I do believe that I was able to pick the right person because I really sampled all the flavors, like all the different flavors. And don't get me wrong, just because I have no passion, it's me. Like it's the type of thing where it's like, it's not you, it's me. Because I look at my husband all the time and I'm like, God, you poor guy. You are like the most fuckable person. And you ended up with someone who is just like dead from the waist down. You know, like it's not him, it's me. And it could be the fact that we have a small child, like I said. But I mean, I think it's going to come back around. Keltie really nailed the formula for adulthood and marriage. And it's that she chose not to have children. So that's how you keep the
Right.
spark alive.
That's what I've heard.
And sex days.
And they have sex days.
Yeah.
Sex
Scheduled
days.
sex.
Scheduled
sex
sex.
day. Yeah, like it's like
I think scheduled sex is a great piece of advice.
you
do
look at the
too.
calendar. You look at the calendar. You're like, okay, we're both in town this weekend. Hey, don't make plans for. We're like a morning. I have like more cortisol, I think, in the morning. This is my hormone person. Yeah, so it's like, okay, it's planned. It's relationship days, and you're like, okay, and they're just like, you know what? Maybe I'm not feeling it, but today's a sex day. I will cross it off the list today. So like, and then when you're in it, you're like, wait, why was this so hard to plan? Like, this is actually really enjoyable, but it's like a female
Right.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
to get going
Right.
is so hard.
Well, Jac, you said something earlier that I thought was very interesting. You were talking about when you slept with all those people pre-marriage. But you said I didn't really enjoy it at the time, but I'm glad I did it. And I kind of like, I think back on, you know, my sluttier days also in that way of being like, wishing I had more, really like, but also remembering being back in it. And like, usually those were guys that I wanted to date that didn't want to date me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actually enjoying it at the time, but now you look back and you're like, should have done more of that.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was never I fucked a lot of guys, and I was always looking for validation from them, right? I was like looking to fill some kind of like a void that was going on. So after every time that I would, and then I wanted more, it was always disappointing for me, and it would like hit my ego even more. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you got to sample everything to figure out what you want. But I'm not a person that feels good from sex with a stranger, but I kept doing it.
No, I think that a huge part of this, our moms all told us to like marry the guy that loves you more, right?
Yeah.
But I also think you should do that with everything, with dating, with sex, with all the things. You're only ever going to enjoy yourself truly if you're feeling confident and feeling secure. So I just think if you're single, I know it's really tempting. Like Jack had the habit of like trying to find the hottest guy in the bar to fuck. It's like, no, find like the most decent looking guy that you know is going to really worship the ground you walk on. And it's going to be on your terms when he leaves your apartment and if he goes down on you and all those things. Like you should never be reaching up. It's as a woman, this is so, I'm probably going to get destroyed, but as a woman, stop reaching up.
Punch down.
Punch down.
Are you talking about physically or
mostly
the whole package?
Physically, but like I think with men that tend to be on the more attractive side, they have their pick of the litter usually when it comes to women. So don't be in line of 300 women for the new iPhone. You know what I mean? Like go and get go get the Verizon. It has a great camera. You do have green text bubbles, but you know what? It's going to be satisfying, and you're not going to be like worried everyone's going to steal your Samsung. What is it? The not Verizon.
No idea.
Samsung.
You lost us.
What's the green text bubble one?
The Android.
Samsung,
The Android. The Android. So don't. Yeah. So get your Android.
Go get your
I just want to be open. I want to be open and honest with everyone listening. I have hired Becca as the PR agent for us sixes, and that's why she's speaking so glowingly about fucking us in a bar. No, this is
Jared,
this
you
is my
get
general
so-
spot.
Jared.
No,
you
well, this
get
is here's
so many girls. Are you?
no. This is the point that I actually
you do.
love that we're talking about this. Like I
You have the Riz.
He has the Riz.
The
Well, no.
Riz.
Yeah.
The Riz is
Don't
behind your
come on
ears.
here on our show and pretend that it's hard for you to get someone
Yeah.
to sleep
It's
with
not
you.
hard. It's not hard to get a date, but I would say, I'm going to be as honest as humanly possible. This is kind of the plight of a single person is you do feel that guilt as you're going through it. I should be doing more. I should be fucking more. I should be, everything you guys are saying is stuff I've said in relationships and then gotten out of it. And I'm like, I guess I'll eat pizza instead of going home with her because that's a lot less stress. It is, there's an interesting thing. And what you're saying, like relationship sex, there's no question. Better than single sex, bed with a stranger. How do the pillows work out? What's the cuddling strategy? Do I have to touch this person? Can I leave? It's awkward.
Leaving.
There's all these other things that and as you get older, like I'm 39 single sitting right here. And now the amount of mental math I do before diving into this like one night stand of it all is like almost annoying because I'm like, there's like another voice in my head that's like the LadyGang being like, fuck more bitches. And I'm like, I know, but you're supposed to be a feminist podcast. Protect these women. But there is a guilt to that, I think, to a lot of people who are single where they go, I know I'm on the cruise for a week. I'm going to get off this cruise. I should be enjoying the buffet, so.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys are speaking to my soul very much.
I
so.
do agree about like, again, dating down to an extent. Although sometimes I feel like the guys who are super, super hot are actually quite nice because they never had to be like assholes.
Well, they're terrible in bed.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
good in bed, but like we're saying, like they never had to be, but they also didn't have to be like manipulative or like fuck. They've nothing to prove in that like fuckboy kind of stance.
I also think that hot guys never had to like develop a personality. Like a lot of times they're
Similar
like,
to women.
yeah,
that's why
super
no
hot.
woman wants to date
Hot
a model.
people.
Yeah.
Like women aren't like I gotta date a model.
Yeah.
It's not like ever. I don't really hear that discussed. Maybe an actor.
Right.
Well, but like it's like the height thing with women. They're not saying they want to date a model, but they're like, if he's not over 6'2", forget about it. You know, the like
Right.
the girls. There's a lot of those women out there, so they do get caught up in that whole thing. And I think men over 6'2" also don't have to develop much of a personality.
Hot guys, tall guys definitely don't, like, at all.
No.
I see tall men sometimes, and I'm just like looking at them. I'm like, man, you live in a different planet than me. Like a tall, if you got some height, man,
You're set.
what's it like up in those trees? We wanted to play a game with you guys. Are you
Yes.
guys ready for a game?
Yeah.
We call it's first and worst. Okay, so each of the Lady Gang members are going to be asked a rapid fire question about their first and their worst dating experiences. Each question will be directed to one of you, and you're going to get a first and a worst each. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready?
Okay, Jack. Worst embarrassing moment dating.
So this is actually something that I wrote a whole entire story about for one of our Lady Gang books. And I had a 1-day stand with a actor, which is a one-night stand, but in the middle of the day. So I
One-day stand.
stalked him on Twitter back in the day when I had a Twitter, and he was on this really shitty TV show.
How famous is he?
A-list?
A-list?
No,
B-list?
no. C.
C. Okay.
People.
Is he a working actor today?
He's yes, and comedian. So you might know him.
Okay.
Tell us after.
Oh boy.
I'll tell you after. But I stalked him on Twitter, which is what I used to do.
Rob Schneider.
So close.
Same vibe.
No, before dating apps, like that's how I used to get guys. Is I used to like stalk guys on Twitter, like see D-list celebrities, and that's how I used to hook up with them. So that's what I did, and we started talking, and we were gonna like meet up, but it never ended up working out. And then I think I was going out of the country or something, and it was the last day that it could happen. And this was in my slutty phase, and I'm like, I gotta get it in when I can. So he came over at 2 p.m. and we had sex, and it was very mediocre, and he left. And then I never talked to him again until I was on a first date with a guy that took me to a comedy show. And he was the comedian that was up on stage, and we were front row, and he was winking at me the whole time.
The whole set. He's looking at winking?
I mean, like
I
figuratively
love a wink.
winking.
Yeah.
Smizing.
You know, looking
It
over.
felt like a wink.
Looking over.
Giving you cheeky smiles.
Giving the cheeky
Okay.
smiles. But yeah, a one day stand's hard. I mean, you can't turn off the lights. Like everything's right in front of you.
What's the conversation at 2 p.m.? So he comes over to your place. He says, hey, and do you have coffee?
No.
How does this work?
There really
Well,
was like,
Jack's a big day drinker. It started at 9 a.m.
Okay.
you know what? No, and I wasn't even drunk. That's what I was gonna say. I had no substances in me, which you need usually. It was everything that I
This is
hated.
under the light of day.
In the light of day, and I think it might have been on like a Tuesday. It wasn't even a weekend, but there was not much conversation at all during the entire exchange. Maybe a couple words.
See, that's the beauty of like nighttime sex is like you go to bed after. So there's no real thought of like, oh, like he gets there at 2 and leaves at 2:15. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
That was it.
What was that?
That was quick.
That was a real pump and dump, you know?
It was
like that was
literally a pump.
that
and
was
dump.
disgusting. It's less disgusting when you go to bed afterwards. I can understand.
Yeah, it wasn't the best thing I've ever done in my life.
We had a 10-minute conversation. It's only 2:20. What the hell happened?
Did it work out with the guy who took you to the comedy show?
No.
Not okay. Not your husband.
He did after that take me to a date to the Scientology Center. So this guy was bringing me on good
Ooh.
dates.
Wow. Okay.
Look at that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Romance.
Romance, baby.
And that's how you achieved all your success in Hollywood.
Yes.
Bingo.
I'm a secret Scientologist.
Got it. Great. All right. Becca,
Mm-hmm.
first time making it official with someone.
Well, the first time I made it official was quite manipulative. I did it with a boy because I just wanted to be invited to as many proms, like for as many high schools as you could possibly go to. I wanted to set a record. And so he asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend. I said yes. So that was like making it official so that I could be his date to the other high school's prom.
How fast did you dump him after the prom?
Immediately after.
Wow.
Immediately.
You had the corsage on.
Well, we had intercourse that night of prom.
All right.
So you know what?
Guy's still a stud. He got what he was looking for. Yeah.
I was maybe a sex worker for a 24-hour period of my life, but we both got what we wanted out of the
mutually
equation.
Beneficial.
Was there actually a record? Or is like this like your personal
I
thing?
got to go to 3, which I didn't know any other girls in Marietta, Georgia going to 3 proms. You know what I'm saying?
And also she was kicked out of her own high school, so she couldn't even go to her own prom.
No, I got back into that one. I did. I was kicked out of the high school, and then they were like surprised when I walked through the door with someone who was still going to the high school.
I just like the idea that if someone's new to Becca and the LadyGang universe, we know everything about Becca we need to know.
Everything.
Yeah.
She is scheduled. She is a ruthless.
Prom queen.
We will not French kiss. You're like a high-powered CEO. I'm gonna get my proms. I'm gonna get no kisses.
I'm a Capricorn.
You're not gonna
Jared,
touch
okay?
me.
I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah.
When
we fuck, you have the line waiting on the glass, ready to be sniffed. I will not fuck without it.
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Yeah. Well,
This
Regimented.
This is all. Yeah, we've learned about Becca,
and I get what I want.
That is, This is seemingly you got movie rooms and theaters.
Yeah, it's working out.
There's a reason why she was cast to play Kitty Wilde on the hit television show Glee, because she literally
Because I'm a wonderful actress.
That
and she is Kitty
And
Wilde,
ruthless.
A triple threat.
Yeah.
and she's Kitty Wilde.
Keltie,
Yep.
worst lie you've ever been told by a partner.
Great. Okay, so when Jack and I had our mutual ex-boyfriend, he was in a rock. In a rock band at the time, a very popular one, and we were dating for a long time. It's
Smash Mouth.
Panic at the Disco.
I wish it was
okay.
Smash Mouth.
yeah, Smash Mouth was so good for Smash Mouth.
All right, R.I.P.
All right.
Sorry, I thought.
No. So, and we were long distance because I was living in New York, and we had been dating for a couple years at this point. And he was a shady guy, but he was also like 22. So like, weren't, all guys were. But
So
I
a
kind
guy.
of made this thing where I was like, in my effort to control him a little bit, or at least like keep us together, I was like, hey, like, I don't care what you do, go to every party, whatever. Just like call me when you get home so I know you're home safe, and like say goodnight, which is code for lady for like, hey, call me when you get home so I know you're not fucking someone else, basically, right?
Yeah.
So he would call me, like he did it, but then one time he called me and he's like, hey, babe, like I'm night. And I was like, oh, night. He's like, yeah, I went out and then we hear like a door open and someone go, hey, man, you can't be in here.
Wow.
He was in the closet at the club, pretending to be at home, giving me my night call. But he was still out, trying to hook up with the women. But he was in the cleaning closet. So yeah, that was that.
I love that so much. It is nothing is funnier to me than guy trying to like run around and get away from woman. It is just so
A
funny.
classic move.
Classic. Yeah, classic.
Hey, you're not the coat check. Get out of here.
I actually would be a little flattered that he still called.
I
instead of
know.
just like ignoring
And you know what? The truth is that when we broke up, I mean, it was very dramatic and all of those things. And of course, he had other girlfriends around the country. And like what I was telling people, we're an open relationship, like all things that were not true. But like for a 24-year-old rock star, like I get it. Like I get it. I really
He keeps
do
getting older. And next time you
because
talk about it, he's 39.
We were together for like 3.5 years. We're together for 3.5 years. We ended up
It's
living
Steven
together.
Tyler.
I get it, but like I appreciated. I remember when we broke up, and I appreciated because he was like, "Listen, like I always thought, like this is probably bullshit." And Jared, you can tell me if you think it is. But he said to me, he's like, "Listen, you were like." I really love you and I really think you're an amazing person. And I just kind of always hoped that I would wake up every morning and be like the kind of guy that would be good to you. Like I really, like I figured I would grow out of this bad behavior and like we would get married and that would be the end of it. And like we would be happy. Is this a lie?
You know what?
I think
That's
it's
why
he
he's
just
a
couldn't fucking
musician.
help
Like
himself.
I just fell in love with him.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's true, but I think it's also like a spin because it's kind of like instead he's putting it on himself instead of putting it on like I just don't know if I could ever would ever marry you. But this is also true, but I think a better, more flattering way of saying it.
Yeah.
Also, he knows he's wasting your time.
Right, he
but
knew he was wasting my
also
time.
Likes you enough to waste your time. You know, like I think like that's like really the thing there where it's like he's losing you sucks and he's being selfish, so he's going to hold on to you as much as he can. And while knowing that this ain't going to be it right now in the way you want it to be it. I think like, you know, timelines do matter. I don't think I'm with Jordana. It's bullshit, but like I don't think he's got another answer. I think he believes his bullshit.
Well, he's smart. It's like when I get turned down from an acting job, if the casting director is like, "You were so incredible and I wanted it to be you," and it wasn't the right fit, then I don't go around town wanting to burn the casting director's house down. Then I'm like, you know
Right.
what? When that guy's name comes up, I'm like, he's swell. He's amazing. When what
Right.
he was probably saying to everyone else was, this girl fucking sucks, but let's let her down easy.
Well, it's like the sneakiest. It's not you, it's me. It's like,
Yes.
Right.
Well, there's a reason it's not you, it's me is used because it is a truth. You know, like
Yeah.
I think like the issue is men love vague options and women want to be beloved or have their heads chopped off.
Yeah,
And
so true.
how do you and it's like what's his option there? To be the biggest piece of shit ever? Or because he's a human too. He
Right, he doesn't wanna be
believes
hated.
his own bullshit. Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be again, yeah, in the same way I said before, I'd rather disappear into the fog and be
Right.
forgotten forever than
No one
the
wants
one that
their
got
house
away, you know.
burned down.
no.
Right.
All right, Jack. First big gift you've gotten from a partner.
So the first and biggest gift that I ever got from somebody was from my ex-boyfriend, and it was a first date that was a helicopter ride around Los Angeles. Now, this guy,
So bachelor of you.
it was like a
Right.
bachelor first date. This individual was love bombing and gaslighting before it was all cool and trendy to do. He told me he loved me after 2
Ooh.
days, told me he wanted to have kids with me and start a family. And
Ah.
I, you know, after dating all these schmucks, I was like, is this what true love is? Like, is this my person? This is what it's supposed to feel like. And I fell down the rabbit hole and believed him. And it was the worst year of my life. And it all started off with that goddamn helicopter ride.
I'd give someone a year of
There
my
it
life
is.
for a beginning helicopter ride.
That's why it's on The Bachelor.
That's a
like it
death
is
wish, in
Cinderella.
my opinion.
It is a death wish.
It is a good piece of advice. If you're on a date that would be on The Bachelor, you've gone
Run.
too far. This
Right.
person's doing too much. Yeah.
For a
Unless
first
you're being
date.
proposed to.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it was, listen, it felt great in the moment. And looking back, I was like, biggest red flag ever. But, you know, you can't say no. And he was tall.
It is funny. You're right. You can't. Hey, I really like you. I want to take you on a helicopter. You piece of shit. How could you want to do this to me? You know, how do you say no to such a thing?
How dare you?
a little
How
much.
dare you? Yeah.
Right. Becca, worst relationship habit.
Farting in front of one another.
Oh, all day.
Well, now that you've had a kid though, and he's seen your vagina,
I had a
post-kid.
surrogate, so I still have
okay.
sacred ground.
Mm.
Oh, amazing.
Jordana, she has a movie room at her parents' house. She didn't have the baby.
You think I carried my own child? Please.
Another human being. Karen.
You think I'd do something so primitive? Get out of here.
Right. Come on.
Well, then the farting must have been a big thing for you guys.
Well, yeah. It ruined everything. He actually couldn't even impregnate me. He was like, no way, IVF. I can't possibly come inside of you after you've just farted on my lap.
That was the problem.
That was
Yeah.
the problem.
Come on.
That was it.
Ah.
Could no longer get it up. No, I just think and listen, I've gone both routes with this. We started off and I told Jack, we had this whole conversation right before her wedding. She had this thing where she was like, I'm doing something. Can I blow you up right now, Jack?
Yeah, of course.
She said, I've been doing this thing that's like so gross, but I can't help myself. I'll like literally be sitting on Jared's lap and I'll just rip a fart on top of him. And we're about to get married and I haven't been this gross before. It's so foul. And I said, I think something happens this is not a conscious thing that we do, but I think it's our way of testing them. Like, how much are you willing to put up with? How much grotesque behavior so that I know you're not going to run for the hills. I'm going to shard on your lap the day before our wedding to make sure we are fine, you know? So, it's just, I think that we do these things to test our partners. Like, how gross can I be? And for you to still love me and still want to be with me forever. So in the beginning of my marriage with my husband, I really would just let it rip. I just felt like, you love me. This is take me or leave me. I'm human. But then something happened a couple years ago where I just realized that it's actually the grossest thing you could possibly do in front of one another. And I just have really changed my tune on it. And I think it has helped. As sexless as my marriage sounds, I'm obviously exaggerating, but it has helped with, I think, the attraction for one another because he followed suit.
Okay. Did you make an announcement? Like the farting is going to
This
stop?
shall be a fartless cat.
Or you just stopped?
No, we never had a full blown. I mean, we've acknowledged it later to say, isn't it crazy that we've done so well at not ripping ass with one another?
Look at us.
Look at us
Look
go.
at us.
What are we, royalty?
sexy.
It smells so good in here.
I might as well wear a garter belt right now. I couldn't be more sexual, but
Are we the Beckhams? Yeah.
they don't fart in front of each other.
No.
Yeah. I also, there's certain things like I don't ever even want to hear him clipping his toenails, let alone see him do that.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
There are just things that will really kill the sexiness of a relationship, and his toenails and passing gas.
And I think bathroom door open. I don't.
Oh
like
my
that
God.
either.
Oh my
I
God.
don't like that either.
Even I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, there are couples who talk to one another and make eye contact while
Megan Trainor has a side-by-side toilet with Daryl.
No.
no.
Were they
wow.
shit together? How do you plan
Yes.
that? How do you plan going at the same time?
I don't know.
That's not going to last. That's crazy.
You make an appointment just like sex. Scheduled poops.
Sex day.
You guys know.
Shit day. Laundry
Yeah.
day.
A tandem poop.
Tandem poop.
Keltie, first big trip with a partner.
Okay, so God,
Are you okay?
yeah, no, I mean, I'm gonna say this, like, my first big trip with a partner was with our mutual. I just don't want to talk about him again, but I'll tell you. We
Do
went,
it.
a
Jesus Christ.
mutual ex. He had so much money.
She's so
right?
obsessed with
And this is
So
why he's off the
obsessed.
internet. This is why he no
He has,
longer.
he has enough money to not be on the internet.
No.
Or because
No, he's sick of hearing them talk
because
about
yeah.
him.
At the time that we were dating, he was like really making a lot of money. Where you're like you don't have any money, and then all of a sudden you get a lot of money very quickly, and you're very confused as to what to do with it, and you're young, and so no one is helping you. So like one
Becca
day,
doesn't know that at all. She hasn't moved in her parents' house. She has no relation to the topic. Don't worry, Becca. I don't either. I had 2 Power Wheels growing up. I'm with
right?
you more.
No,
than
me too.
this scenario.
So
Yeah.
it was like one day you would just like go to the dealership and you just buy a Porsche cash. You know what I mean? And you're just like,
What? Okay.
So much money.
As you do.
As
okay.
you do. So he was like, I want to take you on a really nice vacation. And I was like in New York City, go dancing to like make rent, living with 6 other people. Like I'm from I don't know what a nice vacation is. Anyway, so we read about this place. I think it's in Hawaii called like the Turtle Club or something. And it's where all the celebrities go when they like want to get away or something. So and it was like $6,000 for the week or
Was it
like
Turtle Bay from Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Anyway, I went there and like spent all the money and like we booked it up and it was so fancy and we had I thought we had an amazing time. Jenna, what's her name from The Office?
Fisher.
Jenna Fisher was in the hot tub with her guy and we were
Ooh.
like, celebrities hanging out in the hot tub together. Like I really felt like we were doing it. And so that was my first big trip and I felt like really cute. I felt so cute. In fact, like I have no breasts. I'm a very flat chested queen. And I even bought like a balconette. This is Victoria's Secret era when that's where you bought your swimsuits. And I had my friend in show business put like a cookie, like a pad in it.
This is so rapid fire. It's crazy.
Anyway, But I'm going to wrap it up.
Tell us more about the bathing suit.
6 weeks later, on Valentine's, that was at Christmas. At Valentine's Day, when I found out he was cheating on me, I was so shocked. I picked up his phone. His phones didn't have passcodes. And I was like going through his phone, and there was like all these texts to this girl. And she's like, hey, you should come over. And he's like, oh my God, no, I'm in Hawaii. Like he was texting her when he was in Hawaii on our dream trip. So it's all full circle.
I'll be back in a few days. We
Call
can
you
hang
then.
then. Yeah.
Moral of the whole episode: beware of any guy who does anything too nice for you. No helicopter
Right.
rides.
Yep.
no
Beware.
lavish
Beware.
vacations.
Beware of nice gestures.
Yes.
Beware the turtle bay.
Beware of kindness.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we play this game, which is called Petty or Prudent, which is basically.
I think you guys are the perfect guests for this.
I agree. I
type
think
of
they're going to
game.
be
I think
amazing
you guys, yeah.
at it. Basically, the concept of the game is we read a submission from a listener about something they've done post breakup, and we decide, was this super petty or was it prudent? It needed to be done.
Okay.
Ooh, I love it. Okay.
Okay. I'll read it.
Go for it.
Hi, J&J. Dude email. Petty or prudent on a shitty situation. I've been in a decade-plus relationship that may be coming to an end in one of those, maybe this isn't the best for us kind of deals. Never married, so we are/were one of those couples. Anyway, her sibling is getting married next month, and I don't want to go if we're in an it's complicated state, since it won't be fun for me, and I don't want to be in pictures or talk to people I may never talk to ever again. I've been told it's not a huge deal, and she needs support and doesn't want to answer questions from family, and then we can continue to figure things out. I've obviously been RSVP'd for and probably have been mentally assigned to set up chairs and other help. So is it petty or prudent? I'd just rather not attend if I'm not sure this will still be my family in 3 months from now.
Tough one.
I say you have to go to the wedding if you're still together. Like if you want to break things off and not go, or if you don't want to go, then like break up and then there's your excuse not to go. But you're putting your partner in such an awkward, uncomfortable, and like embarrassing situation if you don't go, if you're still together.
Right.
So I say petty.
So you're saying it's petty to not go.
I think so.
What do you guys think?
Becca, Keltie.
Well, I agree with Jack, and I also have an opinion. It's probably unpopular, but what else is new? I think that couples who stay together for too long before committing to a marriage to one another run into this every single time, unless you're Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I think that once you surpass like the 6-year mark of being together and you don't make the commitment, you don't have to have a big wedding and wear white, but it's something about taking it to the next level of commitment, because the reality of it is if I were in a relationship with my husband going on 9 years right now and we had never fully committed, you're an idiot to think that in the last couple of years I wouldn't have just gotten out if we weren't, like, I wouldn't have put the work in to really like push through and make it a better marriage. I would just second guess it all the time and be like, well, there's a reason we're not married yet, and it's because I can get out when I need to.
Yeah.
There's no perfect relationship.
I'm going to make a very 2024 reference, but it's why people say they take Ozempic to get rid of the food noise. You know, when you're in a relationship that isn't like committed, you have the single noise in your head.
Saying
You
marriage
know,
is the
there
Ozempic
is a way out.
of relationships.
Yeah.
Marriage is Ozempic.
Married.
It's true. It's if you think that there's always a very easy way of being single again, it's really like not that complicated to just break up with a boyfriend versus like, you know, divorce somebody. I just think that's the kiss of death. I really think it's the kiss of death, but obviously they can't go back in time and fix this. But so he has to just suck it up and go to this wedding.
Or break up with her.
Yeah. I think breaking up with her is the most prudent thing. The minute you started writing an email to the You Up podcast wondering if you should go to the wedding because it won't make it past that, like it's over for you. That's the single noise is in his head. He knows this is it, but the problem is he knows he's going to get blamed for ending it before the wedding. But those, you know, Jordana and I, we've had this conversation so many times about my own relationships where I'm like, I'll tell Jordana, I'm like, I think it's over for me. but there's like 7 other things that are going to come back at me in this breakup. And Jordana, you said it before. It's like, that's their right. You kind of have to like get ready to take your lashes, so to speak. And he's trying to minimize lashes in the breakup. And he thinks getting past the wedding is like going to make a breakup easier, which it will not. There's always going to be another thing.
But I think for her, like, listen, they've been together for so long. I think he probably loves her as a human being, and to like wish her well. He should go. He should be guy of the year, set up all those fucking chairs, like be that person, smile, know that you're going to get out. So maybe don't like photobomb or make yourself the moment of the night that everyone's talking about. Like just kind of hang back and just like support her and love her through this so that she doesn't have the wedding. So the sister's not pissed because, oh my God, Jac made the whole wedding about her because she broke up with her long-term boyfriend and all anyone could do was talk about their breakup. Like just be normal, get through the wedding and then break up and call it a day.
Or propose and everything is fine.
At the wedding.
Right, have a kid. And no, well, I guess here's my question to 4 women. He goes through the wedding. He does everything Keltie just said, which I agree with. That's a prudent way to get to your breakup, which will be coming. What does he say when she says, "When did you know?"
It doesn't matter. Just be like, I know things are not good with us right now. I don't know what the future holds, but like this is a big moment for your family and I love you and I love your family. I want to be there for you.
Well, I'm saying, what if he breaks up after the wedding? Like he goes to the wedding and he's like a mensch.
Yeah.
And then a week later, he breaks up with her. And then she's like, you went to the wedding. How could you do that to me? That's going to be said to him.
Then he needs to white lie it. He needs to say that he was fully in and maybe being at the wedding made him realize that he doesn't want his own and it's not her.
That's a good one.
I like Becca's answer.
Sometimes
that's
you don't
the
need
way,
the truth.
That's the route.
Yeah.
We just gave a murderer the weapon.
You're right. You're right.
I agree. I think if he's that miserable that he needs to get out, he should break up with her before. But if he's not, and it's kind of just like going along and he cares about her, which it sounds like he does, I think he should go break up with her after, and then she doesn't have to deal with like
the embarrassment.
Yes, and being and also having to just explain everything.
It's just too much drama on already a dramatic day.
Yeah.
Right. They cannot use the pictures you were in easier than her explaining at the wedding.
You can Photoshop anything out. You can Photoshop literally anything out these days.
Yeah. My grandmother used to put my aunt's husband on the end of every single group photo for a reason, because once he was done, she folded it or cut it and put it back in the frame.
Exactly.
Wow. You come from a family of like ruthless dictators. I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a long line.
I come by it honestly,
I love it.
This was fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We want everyone to go follow, subscribe to the LadyGang podcast. They are going on tour. You guys are going to be doing, it's called You Never Forget Your First Tour, hitting 10 cities. Tickets are available at theladygang.com/tour.
Yep.
They drop a new episode every Tuesday and Thursday. And look at where you guys are going. Let's name these cities. We want to go to Plug City. You're going to all the fun ones: Austin, Dallas, Chicago, Boston, New York, Toronto, Nashville, Atlanta, Phoenix, San Diego. You're doing the Gramercy Theater. I love that theater. That's where I tape my special. So.
Oh my God. Well, if you need us to open for any of your dates on tour, let us know, because we're a great opening act too. We're very cheap.
Yeah.
I love it. I love cheap women.
This was amazing, guys. And I do feel like we're all best friends now. So let's text. Let's make a change.
Yes.
Watch out. She'll do it.
Let's all
Absolutely. Open up that movie room. I need a place to stay, Becca.
All right. No problem. No problem.
hang. And we'll be back next time at the U Up Podcast. Bye.
Boom.
The U Up Podcast is produced by Belle Roman and Candice Maniga. Editing by Belle Roman. Social media by Candice Maniga. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.